Welcome to the 100th official episode of All Creatures Podcast, Angie.
Hey, Chris. I'm so excited to still be here. Wow. That's incredible.
This is our official 100th episode. Like, I can't believe it. I can't believe we've done over 100 episodes. Like, it's insane.
And we're still friends.
I know. And partners. I know. I haven't driven you off yet.
See, that's the good thing about not making any money, right? Like, if we were making money, then we'd have a reason to fight. But no.
Yeah, no, never. Never.
Oh, it's been a blast. It's been a real ride. And it doesn't feel like 100. So I think that's a good sign, right? My father always taught me that if you do something you love, you won't work a day in your life. And I can't believe we've done 100 episodes. I feel like we just started.
Yeah. So just to give you some statistics real quick before we jump into this, we've actually done 118 episodes. 18 of those, like in the beginning, I was doing 16A and 16B and 17A and 17B. And I was like, why am I doing that? It was dumb. And then we did conservation news. You know, we threw out there because when we really were so motivated to share this knowledge, but it got so overwhelming for both of us. We're like, we can't handle this on top of normal life. So, but this is the official episode 100 review of where we've been and where we're going.
Am I going to cry? Is that going to happen?
Well, you're going to cry here in a second.
I'll probably cry like out of laughter of tears.
I'm going to make you cry right now. Let me play our very first episode together, which was episode 2, Elephants. You ready?
I feel like nails on the chalkboard, but I was born ready. Go for it.
Here we go. So welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Angie.
Yeah, so Angie, this is our first one together.
I'm super excited.
I know, this is awesome. It's, we've been planning this for a long time, and I'm so just energized to get this going. You know that.
Yeah. No, it's been a lot of fun and a lot of good build up and really interesting research.
Right.
I've learned a lot, and I hope to share that with everyone.
Right. And I think the history of Angie and I, the reason I'm doing this is because of Angie.
Aww.
You know, when Angie showed up years ago.
Shucks, you're too sweet.
That's true, though. Okay, Angie. Now, that was in my office, us trying to talk with 2 microphones, not understanding anything technical, how sound bounces off walls. It sounds like we're in our mother's basement.
We basically were, more or less, right? Oh, my God. And I remember being so nervous, and I'm not a nervous person, but I guess I thought I didn't have anything to lose, right? So that's how you tricked me into trying it. And I figured how bad could it really go? And I think we found out. On your favorite animal, on elephants too.
I know. So. We got to redo them. We got to go back and redo our first 3 or 4 because we did the next week your favorite rhinos and
a little improvement, but probably not much better. I remember playing it to my rhino friend Allison, and she was like, "Oh, yes, that is wow,
interesting."
Yes, I think you got a few things wrong. There's actually 5 species of rhinos. Bless her heart. I love you, Allison. Feedback is important because it makes us get better. So yes.
And we'll get to Allison because she's still one of my all-time favorite interviews. But no, and for the listeners, this is going to be a review of where we've been and where we're going, like I said. And we're going to play some clips for you and talk about where we want to take the podcast and some of our more funny moments where I still, listening to this day, I was cracking up. But this is the beauty of podcasting, Angie, and this is how I sold you in the beginning. It's like amateur radio, right? And you can listen to our interviews, our early episodes, and definitely we have grown. Like, not only in our ability to have banter and talk and learn about these species and really dig into the literature, because I don't think people realize we spend a good, I'd say 6 hours at least. Depending on the species?
Oh, minimally. Well, it depends on how many YouTube clips I watch of their behavior, which is not required for anything to do with the podcast. But yes, prep takes a while, and we're lucky being in academia that I have access to a lot of the peer-reviewed journals that unfortunately a lot of people can't get online. And there's mechanisms to try to change that with open literature for everyone, but a lot of the older articles of the people first being out and recording some of these amazing behaviors, they're old and dated, and but I get access to them. And so depending on how much I read those, it can really take a while.
Yeah. And I mean, I think part of the benefit that our education with our PhDs and written scientific articles that have been published, we're able to look at those and quickly get the information we need and move on. Right. So it's not like we're reading every article all the way through. We pick out what we need.
Yeah, that's no. Yeah. I search for whatever I'm targeting.
Yeah. So when you're talking 6 hours of prep, I mean, that's a lot of prep. It's a lot of reading, preparing our slides, thinking about what we want to talk about. And then even then we know we get some things wrong every now and then. Sometimes.
Just a few sometimes. My husband's usually the first to point it out. Yes.
Yes. But the funny thing is too, what's so great about a podcast is our audience has watched us grown, and I love to give shout outs to some of our earliest and now our newest fans that we've been interacting with. I mean, Jonathan in British Columbia has been there from the beginning. I mean, from episode 1, he's like, "I love you guys."
Thank you, Jonathan. You're the one that helps keep us going, where I'm like, this sucks. We can't do this. But between you and our moms, we're like, okay, we'll try it one more time. We'll get
we had a listener in Canada, so that was good. And, and that, and to be in full disclosure, I mean, I think our first episode, we had like 100 downloads, which is good. We always joke about our moms listening, but we saw 100 people, 100 of our friends. Great. Okay. To now we have tens of thousands listeners around the world. Jonathan was one. Lee down in Australia is another.
Hi, Lee. Yes. Love interacting
Amy,
with him.
I mean, Carly's a big fan of yours. So
hi, Carly.
She wants
Girl
more
power.
videos from Angie. Yes. Less of me, more of you.
Yes. Well, now I have my awesome All Creatures podcast shirt, which, for the record, if you would have asked me 100 episodes ago if I ever thought we would have t-shirts, I would have said, no way. But looks like we made it.
I know.
We have them.
And
they're awesome. And I get so many compliments on it.
Yeah, that logo is amazing. We lucked out with that one. That was really good. And you and John came up with All Creatures. I'll give you credit for that. That was you guys'
We did?
brainstorming. Yeah. We were brainstorming names for the podcast. Yeah.
All right.
You guys came up with All Creatures. It was amazing.
Well, and one of my favorite books growing up too was All Creatures Great and Small. So it's an excellent series. But yes. Mm-hmm.
So then we have Kristen. Karen's always posting. Emily, Rosa, Alexandra, Tamara, Corbin was one of our big fans from the beginning. So shout out to Corbin Maxey.
Love Corbin.
Yeah. Paul from Varmints podcast always is a fan of ours. And then just lately, Julie and Julie, the two that we announced, it's Bill and Quinn. Quinn sent me a message. He was very excited. We said his name over the podcast last week. So Quinn, hello, shout out to you again. And then Chris has been amazing with Lily. He said Lily just absorbs everything, and now she wants
Lily.
to be a marine biologist.
Awesome. Yes, we're learning a lot about marine creatures this year, so it's been really fun. And there'll be a lot more coming down the pipes.
Yeah, and to all our other fans, I mean, we'll try to give you shout outs.
Cecilia,
Patreon.
She's one of my number one listeners. Thank you.
So it's just amazing the community we've started to develop. I mean, this community is still growing.
Well, and Chris, just thinking back a little bit about when we first started and why we started, our mission was definitely to learn and educate. And obviously that has not changed an ounce since we started. But what's interesting is how our mission has, in my opinion, evolved and grown. From learning and educating now to having all these interactions and connection with our conservation heroes, our audience, our listeners, from Instagram to our Facebook group, conversations, learning from each other, people contacting us about who to interview and helping us make those connections. I mean, that's huge. I mean, John only knows so many people in the industry.
All 5 of them.
Yeah.
We've already interviewed them all.
I only have so many colleagues from Lincoln Park Zoo. So, but so that part's been really surprising and I guess very motivating and exciting as far as this community that we formed with All Creatures Podcast. And the other part I think is really we're starting to embrace, and I want to in the next year grow, is our outreach. And I never really thought about that when you were brainstorming this, or when we were talking about where we wanted to go and what we wanted to do. But now that we have this network of conservation heroes and we all love learning and educating our friends and our family about these amazing creatures and why we should conserve them. Well, if we're not on the field, like some of the amazing field researchers that we've talked to, I know we're going to touch on that here in a little bit, but if we're not able to be out in the field, what can we do? And alone, it feels kind of lonely. But together with either Facebook or social media challenges or just conversations, it's a lot easier. And that's what we're doing with our Planting Trees initiative, picking up trash. And we'll be talking a lot in the next couple of weeks about our Plastic-Free July initiative, which is actually right around the corner, and hopefully get a lot of our audience involved with that. So, and then of course, the biggest thing that's really evolved and grown is giving back to these conservation groups through our Patreon subscribers. I never thought, that to me is so cool. And and
that was all you. That was all you. I will definitely tip my hat to you with that idea. That was brilliant.
Well, when we first talked about Patreon, the idea of helping us get better equipment and pay, especially for your editing time and things like that, sounded fantastic, but only if we can be true to what we believe in as far as giving back to the conservation groups and organizations that are helping save these animals, that are heroes in the wild. Right. And so that vision has come to fruition, and we're doing it, and we've been doing it the past couple months, and hopefully it'll just grow more and more in the months and years as we move forward. So those are things that I never really expected when we sat in basically your mom's basement and recorded.
I know. It sounds like it. It sounds like it. It amazes me because I know I've dropped this in a couple of our episodes, but what I've personally learned, I mean, I was aware of this sixth mass extinction. I was aware that a lot of animals were in crisis. I just was not aware of how deep that rabbit hole goes and how bad it actually is. And it not to be Debbie Downer, it sucks. It's bad. It is really bad out there in the wild. And whatever wild's left, then you go to the oceans and it's even more horrific. So it just motivates me to make change and to turn that on its head. This idea of conservation optimism, since you and I have started this, I actually have seen a change globally. When I lived in New Zealand for those few months, seeing it from their perspective, coming back to the United States, and from the perspective here of people, there is a global movement of change. We just have to embrace it, and everybody needs to do their part. And our listeners are conservation heroes. When you refuse a straw, when you pick up garbage off the beach, when you do these things, you're a conservation hero. And that's I've learned so much in the past year and a half doing this. And you want to stay tuned because I've got some of our funniest clips at the end that I just seriously, when I was editing, I was dying laughing. So it's been so great.
It has been so great, Chris, and I have learned so much. First and foremost, I've learned that there's so many people all over the world that are working hard to save these species from extinction. And through the interviews that I've done, they've just been jaw-dropping of how much people will give up their lives and time with family and travel and to remote places to work hard to fight off extinction, fight poachers. And it's been talk about conservation optimism. I love how we've evolved to be able to share those stories with our listeners. And not only the heroes that are, of course, in the bush checking out their camera traps, like my buddy Sunarto down in Indonesia, one of my favorite all-time interviews, or Dr. Barney Long, another buddy of mine, but also locally with all the zoo and sanctuary experts that we've interviewed to learn about all the fascinating things that are happening at accredited zoos and aquariums to help keep these species alive as well. Although there is a lot of doom and gloom, especially it seems like there's more news coverage now, which I actually think is a good thing. It helps bring about awareness. But within that, there's so many people that are like-minded that really want to do good. And now it's about how do we get there together. So telling these stories with these interviews has just been life-changing for me, not to be dramatic, if you will. And then working with our audience, our fans that have been so helpful and so excited about what we're doing and help give us energy and feedback and introduce us to people that we should talk to, are kind enough to do interviews and reach out to us and say, hey, I want to do an interview. I just never thought that was even possible. And so I've learned a lot about human nature. And of course, I've learned so much about animal behavior and physiology, but I knew I would do. And that's why I was originally excited to do the podcast. So learning about all this human behavior and conservation optimism and community of animal and earth lovers it's been brilliant.
That perfectly said, beautifully said. Interviewing these experts in the field, down in New Zealand, down in Africa, out in Asia, South America, and now, and the ones back here home in the United States, it's been a real thrill to speak to these experts. An honor. Yeah. I mean, for you, and you did the groundwork to get World Wildlife Fund scientists on, which was amazing. Amazing. We had San Diego Zoo, Cincinnati Zoo, Seneca Park Zoo, all these experts from around the world, doing blue whale research, kiwi research. I mean, just wow. And I still go back to one of my very first favorite interviews, Niaga Leonard, down on Kappa Island. That made such an impact on me so early on in this podcast. Great interview. If you haven't heard it. Yeah, the audio quality is not the best. Our technical stuff is getting better. We still have some hiccups, but until we get more money, we can't afford all the expensive stuff. We've got decent stuff.
I know. I listen to NPR and other real radio stations. I'm like, wow,
yeah,
they sound so good.
Yeah, they got $1,000 microphone.
All their editing and their music microphone in there. It's just, I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah. So what do you say? My editing suck?
No, yours is great.
We're a two-man woman, one man, one woman, or one woman, one man show. Yes. It's what we do. We can do. But what I wanted to do here, Angie, is I want to clip in all the intros to the interviews, and I just want people to listen to who we interviewed and what they do. And they're just really quick. It's, we're welcoming them to the show. We describe who they work for, what they do, and just let them say hi. And then you go on to the next one. But we've conducted over 32 interviews. And now I will tell our audience, we're getting sought out. I have a lot of people emailing us saying, hey, we want to come on your podcast. So now we're getting to be a little bit selective, but then
Leonardo,
the well will run dry. Yeah.
Leonardo, hello, waiting for you.
You get Leonardo. I get Jane Goodall. You get Leonardo DiCaprio. That's the deal.
Dream.
That's the deal. So let me play this for you and just listen. Listen to who we interviewed over the past year and a half. I know our interview skills have gotten much better, and then we'll be back. I said in our Polar Bear pod, Aaron and I go way back to when we both lived in South Carolina. But I just want to say welcome, Aaron.
Well, thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I'm just so excited, especially of all the people I get to interview, you're our first one. So no pressure, none at all.
Okay.
Welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. This is Chris, and today I have an awesome interview with Niaga Leonard from the Cat-Ba Langer Conservation Project. Welcome, Niaga.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me.
Hello, everyone. This is Angie from All Creatures Podcast, and today I have a really exciting interview with Suzanne Smith of the Amazon River Dolphin Conservation Foundation. So, hello, Suzanne. Are you there?
Hello, Angie.
We have Dr. Cottrell here today to talk to us about bats. She specializes in rescuing, rehabilitating, and educating people in local Florida bats. So hello, Deborah. It's
Hi.
nice to see you.
Thank you. You too.
So thank you so much for agreeing to sit down with me and talk about...
All right, welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. This is Chris, and I'm joined with Jesse Golden.
How you going?
Awesome, Jesse. And Jesse has worked with Okapis in his career.
I'm Angie, and today I'll be interviewing Dr. Rachel Santemeyer from the Lincoln Park Zoo, who is the director of the Davie Center for Epidemiology and Endocrinology. Welcome, Dr. Rachel. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me and having me talk about one of my favorite animals in the world.
I'm Chris, and today I'm joined with Allison Kennedy Benson.
Hey.
Hello, Allison.
Hi.
Hi. So, Allison, you know, how you got involved with rhino conservation, that's specifically what you worked with. You know, the work you've done in Africa, which I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about today, but just briefly.
Sure.
And welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. This is Angie, and today I'll be talking with Dr. Sarah Schulwitz from the Peregrine Fund, and she works with the smallest falcon in North and South America, known as the American kestrel. So hello, Sarah, are you there?
Hi, Angie, I'm here.
All right, welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. This is Chris, and today I'm super excited to be joined with Dr. Kim Getz. And we're going to discuss some blue whale conservation work that she's been involved with here in New Zealand, which I'm really excited to finally meet another conservation expert here. But welcome, Kim.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Today I'm joined with Autumn Lindy to discuss red wolves. Super excited about this one. Autumn, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me.
Welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. This is Chris, and I'm joined with Angie, and oh my God, man, we are, like we said, we promised last week, we have an awesome guest today, Mr. Corbin Maxey. This is huge for us. So, Corbin, welcome.
Thank you so much. I hope this wasn't the big surprise at the end of the Red Wolf episode, was it?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to apologize in advance to all the listeners who were like, Corbin what? Corbin who?
Welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. This is Chris, and today I have another great interview with somebody that works with animals day in, day out, and that's Jim Winepress from the Seneca Park Zoo. Hello, Jim.
Hi, how's it going?
Today, I will be talking to Bill Ziegler from the Chicago Zoological Society, which operates the Brookfield Zoo. He is the Senior Vice President of Animal Programs, and he's in charge of the animal collections and care at the Brookfield Zoo in Chicago. And as my guest today, Bill is here to talk about pangolins. So thank you, Bill, and welcome.
Well, thank you. It's nice to join this podcast, and it's nice to hear your voice again. I know we met a few months ago and had a long discussion, so it's good to connect again.
And today I am joined with a good friend, Jonathan Cowart. Hey, Jonathan.
Hey, nice to be here.
Yeah, thanks for agreeing to do this. Not to make you nervous or anything like that, but this guy's amazing, folks. You're going to really love to hear from him. But I would say Jonathan is probably the one of the few people in the world that fully understand manatee reproduction. There are not many, a small handful around this planet that understand about these creatures, how they reproduce. All right, welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. This is Chris, and today I'm joined with David Steen, or Dr. David Steen. Hey, David, how you doing?
Doing well. How about you?
Doing great. And Dr. Steen is working at the Georgia Sea Turtle Center in Jekyll Island, Georgia. Really want to talk today about, snakes and eastern diamondback, rattlesnakes, but David has a varied interest in a lot of different species, which we'll get to. Today, I'm joined with Dr. Helen Taylor from here in New Zealand. Hello, Helen.
Hi, Chris. Nice to be here.
Thank you so much. We're so lucky to have you. I've been really wanting to do this interview for a long time now, and that's really to talk about your work with kiwi birds.
Yep, not the fruit.
No, not the fruit.
It's always important to specify.
Yes, especially here in New Zealand.
Yep.
So, yes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. I'm Angie, and today I have a very exciting interview. I'll be talking with Christina Gorsuch. She is the curator of mammals from the Cincinnati Zoo, as Christina is part of Team Fiona, which is a baby hippo who's now a year old, and she has become a social media sensation. So hello, Christina.
Hello.
Welcome to All Creatures Podcast. Thanks for agreeing to talk to us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. This is Chris, and today, again, always excited to do these interviews, and this one I've been trying to line up for a while. But this is Theo Van Noort for here in New Zealand. Hey, Theo, how you doing?
Hey, Chris. Good, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. I have been bugging you for a while, so thank you. But I went to a Friday seminar. I got invited, and he took a trip down to the Antipodes, which I'll let Theo talk more about it here in a minute, but is one of the most remote, I would say, one of the most remote places on Earth.
Everyone, and welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. I'm Angie, and today I'll be interviewing a very special guest talking about one of the most unique and mysterious animals in the world. I'll be interviewing Dr. Barney Long, which is the director from the Global Wildlife Conservation, where he acts as the species conservation director. And I'm having him on the podcast today as my guest expert in the Saola. And a lot of people don't know about them. So he's going to be here spreading the word today and teaching us all about the Saola and the great work that the Global Wildlife Conservation is doing, that he's also doing for Saola conservation. So good morning, Dr. Long. How are you?
Morning. I'm great, thank you. And it's fantastic to be here. Thanks for inviting me on.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. I'm Angie, and today I'll be talking about the Sumatran rhino. It's also known as the hairy rhinoceros or the Asian two-horned rhinoceros. And I'm really, really ecstatic to have back a very special guest, Dr. Barney Long from the Global Wildlife Conservation. So, Dr. Long, I'm really excited to have you back. You agreed. I obviously didn't scare you away the first time we chatted, and you agreed graciously to come back on and talk about a species that's near and dear to your heart that you've worked with extensively over your amazing career. So thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me, and thank you for having me back.
Well, I mean, you're actually my first repeat customer, so... Hello, everyone, and welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. I'm Angie, and today I have a very, very exciting guest and close friend, an old coworker that I'm going to be talking with today about giant pandas. So I'd like to introduce Michael Brown Palsgrove. He's the curator of Asia Trail and giant pandas at the Smithsonian's National Zoo in Washington, D.C. Hello, Michael. Thanks for joining me for this morning cup of coffee.
Good morning, Angie. It's so great to catch up with you.
I know. It's so fun to obviously hear about your family, because Michael and I, of course, have been chatting for like last half an hour, and I said, well, we better get down to... we
better get to the podcast.
Yeah, I'm almost through my coffee, for goodness sake, so we better actually talk pandas.
Podcast. This is Chris, and today I'm so excited to have Bree Ondich from the Georgia Sea Turtle Center that's located in Jekyll Island, Georgia. Welcome, Bree.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, awesome. It is so great to have you. Welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. This is Chris, and I am joined today with Bethany Bingham from the Hogle Zoo in Salt Lake City. Hello, Bethany.
Hi, how are you, Chris?
Doing awesome. Oh, thank you so much for doing this. Bethany is the president of the American Association of Zookeepers, and our friend Jim Winepress told me I had to interview Bethany, and I absolutely agree, because I think this one's going to be great because it's coming at you at a different angle.
And welcome everyone to the All Creatures Podcast. I'm Angie, and I'm very, very excited for my interview today. It's been almost a year or so that I've been talking about the World Wildlife Fund on this podcast and all the amazing things they do for creatures big and small, scaly and furry. But today I actually get to talk to an expert from the World Wildlife Fund. I'm so excited today to be hosting Nilanga Jayasinghe. I'm really happy to have her here. We're going to focus today mostly on the Asian elephant. And good afternoon, Nilanga.
Hi, Angie. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. And hi, everybody.
All right, welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. This is Chris, and today I'm joined with Ron Evans from the Cincinnati Zoo, who is the curator of primates. Hey, Ron.
Hey, how you doing, Chris?
Doing awesome. Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us. You know, I just been so excited for this interview.
It's what we like to do, you know. Anytime we get a chance to share our conservation stories, it makes us happy.
Yes, and we love what you do, and we're glad we can help.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. I'm Angie, and today I have a very, very special guest. I'll be talking with Dr. Robin Moore today. He is the Communications Director of Global Wildlife Conservation. His specialty is amphibian conservation. So yes, it's all about amphibians today. So get ready, put your seatbelts on. It's going to be a lot of fun. And he's going to be chatting with me today all about the Sawankus water frog. And I'm just so happy to have him here. And so welcome, Dr. Robin Moore. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much for the intro. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, I know. It's so lovely to have you and your expertise because hello, everyone, and welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. I'm Angie, and today we're going to be talking about the largest species of cat and, of course, one of the most iconic animals on the planet. I'm really excited today to have Sunarto with me. And Sunarto is a tiger expert that works at the World Wildlife Fund in Indonesia. And Sunarto has been working in tiger research in central Sumatra for years. Hello, Sunarto. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, Angie. How are you? It's really good to finally we can talk today.
I know. So, yeah, Sunarto and I have been working together.
Welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. This is Chris, and today I just had to invite him on, and that is Rob Lang from Underdone Comics. Hey, Rob.
Hello there.
How you doing?
All right.
Good. Yes. And I just, we've started collaborating with you a few months ago, and each week, you blessed us with letting us post some of your work, and I crack up every time you send me something. It is so amazing. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I guess you haven't used any of the sad ones yet. So a lot of them.
No. Welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. This is Chris, and today I'm joined with Bryce Andrews, an author of an amazing book that honestly I cannot put down, and we're going to talk about it today. But welcome, Bryce.
Oh, thank you, Chris, for having me.
Doing this work, this podcast, talking to people throughout the world. I'm going to be honest with you. I could not put this book down. I read it in 2 nights.
That is wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. I'm Angie, and today I have a very special guest. I'm super excited for this interview. It's been a topic that we've moderately touched on in some of the podcasts when we've done episodes on big cats. But today I have an expert with me, Katie Cannon. She's an education director at the Carolina Tiger Rescue. Welcome, Katie. Hello.
Good morning.
I'm so glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So, welcome. I'm in San Diego at the beautiful Balboa Park, my hometown, and I've got a group of koala keepers from the San Diego Zoo here. I'm super excited, as usual, to be interviewing them. So thank you for agreeing to do this interview.
You're welcome.
You had no choice.
We're excited too.
Folks, they had no choice. Their bosses said, you will do this interview. No, we do appreciate you taking your time. I know you had an opportunity to say no, and you said you would. Welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. This is Chris, and today I am joined with Dr. Rob Hilsenroth, the Executive Director for the American Association for Zoo Veterinarians. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here, Chris.
I'm so, excited to finally get to talk to you. We've been planning this for a couple months. Before we get going, I have to tell you this, and I have to make a. All right, welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. This is Chris, and today I'm joined with Warren Carlisle. Hey, Warren.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Oh man, okay. So I know before we got going, I told you we just recorded Octopus. Warren, we just did orcas, and I told Angie, I was like, "There's no way we're gonna beat this species." And then the next week we did Octopus, and it wiped orca off the map.
You should say, or next week we did octopuses.
Octopuses. Yes.
we can already start with that. That's like the number one thing people are like, what's the correct plural?
So Angie, that is the list of who we've interviewed to date. I mean, ending it with Warren from Octonation, beginning it with Dr. Aaron Curry, back doing polar bears.
That was a great one. They're all good, but I remember being really inspired listening to Dr. Curry's, and then also listening to Niaga Leonard. I remember I was cleaning and I stopped, which I don't have a lot of free time, but I stopped in my tracks and just sat down and listened, and that's when I knew. That's when I knew I think that was the interview that I knew that we were onto something. If somebody was willing to talk to us from Vietnam.
Mm-hmm. From a small island in Vietnam on Cat Ba
and working
Island,
to save the 60 remaining Cat Ba lemurs. That's what helped light my fire. And I think too.
Well, then I was just gonna say you turned around and interviewed Suzanne Smith, and that was your very first interview, right?
Yes, she was great.
And she was amazing.
Yes, and it turns out my sister-in-law and her are friends, so she put up with all my shenanigans. It was like everybody's like related to, what is it? The joke? Yeah. Everybody's related to
the 6 degrees.
Keanu Reeves or something.
Yeah. No. We got to date ourselves. It's 6 degrees from Kevin Bacon.
I totally screwed that one up, but yeah.
You were literally like 4 degrees away from 5 degrees through my sister and all the people she knows in Hollywood. So you're close.
Yes. So there you go.
Kevin Bacon's very close to you.
So funny. But yeah, no, so this show, I remember just even figuring out all the software. She was so patient and kind, and luckily that's improved. And yeah, I feel for me, obviously being a very social person, pretty much everybody I interview ends up becoming like my best friend if they aren't already. Yeah. And have a lot of fun interactions with them, and it's almost just like having coffee. And I just love their stories. Yeah. Oh, man, one of my favorites. They're all my favorites, but. Mm-hmm. And Chris, definitely one of my highlights is why it's so fun to do these interviews and learn and hear people's stories firsthand was the interview I did with a curator from Cincinnati Zoo, Christina Gorsuch, about Fiona Hippo, the preemie hippo that was born a year and a half or 2 years ago at Cincinnati Zoo. If you haven't heard that interview, it's amazing. And she recounts the story blow by blow. She's a fantastic storyteller. She's a fantastic person. Cannot wait to go have a beer with her in Cincinnati. I'm coming for you, Christina. I promise.
We're all going to be there. Yeah.
But just hearing her firsthand of what that experience was like, and nobody had ever dealt with a premature hippo birth before. And what were they going to do with this baby? And this baby shouldn't survive. And so just hearing, I have goosebumps right now, and I'm not doing her justice of her telling the story. And so it's things like that have really just opened my eyes and made it so enjoyable. Or talking to Dr. Long, Barney Long, or Sunarto about their treks.
Global Conservation Wildlife, like another one that you chased down.
Oh, I love them. Yes.
Oh, and Dr. Robin Moore with Romeo and Juliet.
Yes, I have to do another amphibian for sure. He was fantastic.
Yeah. And then Barney's leading the charge for Sumatran rhinos.
Sure.
Like he's
and Saula, which bless his heart, he didn't tell me that I was pronouncing wrong pretty much the whole interview.
It's all right. I'll tell you a few interviews that I still go back to Allison's in Rhino Relocation, her talking about in the Bomas by herself in the middle of Africa with her rhinos, and the Pride of Lions come up and they're all around the Bomas. Like that story, that's giving me chills right now as she recounted that. Talk about conservation crush. Like, wow, that one I was like, you are an amazing woman. And then she runs the London Marathon. The London Marathon in a rhino suit. She was one of those.
Ran it, about a month and a half ago.
Amazing.
And she raised close to $10,000.
Yeah.
for rhinos.
Just,
in the wild.
she's a hero of mine. She's definitely a hero of mine. Then I go, I had Dr. Getz talking about blue whale research, which was phenomenal. Helen Taylor talking about kiwis. But I'll tell you one that people I think miss is the Theo Van Noort interview I did, where he went to the Antipodes and describing that environment that very few humans have been on, and how there was the $1 Million Mouse Project. Like that one, I think just gets forgotten, because I went back when I'm going through this review and I was like, that was such an incredible story. How they went down there because the mice that got dropped off, 100 years ago from a shipwreck had devastated the native wildlife, and how they were able to eradicate them. And now it's coming back, albatross, penguin, all the crazy birds. And then, just so many incredible people doing incredible work. The San Diego Zoo was just a dream of mine to talk to the koala keepers. And then just talking to Warren the other day, which is a Rob Lang, first of all, my God. Underdog Comics. He came down to California and I got to meet him. He's so funny. You know what he described me as? Because him and Warren, Warren, the interview that just came out, Warren's like, "Oh, what'd you think of Chris?" And he goes, "Warren, he's just a gigantic human." He's just that, because I'm 6'5", and Rob's like 5'5", 5'6". So, but talking to those guys that are totally coming from a different angle,
Right.
A fan club and a comic. So yeah, just wonderful, wonderful conservation heroes. I just love them. Love them. And
No, and and it's really inspiring too to hear their stories, of course, about the animals, but I always like to hear how they got their start. And Dr. Robin Moore is one, which he was telling me how he wasn't really sure what he's doing. He was going to this and then going to this and trying to get into grad school. He loved amphibians and reptiles, but basically just started going and hanging out at the different conferences, and they were all the professionals and the academics were like, "Who are you?" And most people would be, I've been at those academic conferences, and they're very intimidating. And he was just like, whatever, I belong here. I'm going to make my way. And he just kept sticking around, and they just kept going, well, I guess he belongs. and then he finally got in and then got jobs, and then, was able to really learn a lot about obviously their physiology and their behavior, and get to the point where he's at now. And so just that tenacity of, I know this is what I want to do, and it doesn't matter if you're, making me feel that I don't belong.
So Angie, before we start getting into some of the animals we've covered, and then again, I'm going to play some of our favorite clips from that. Guess how many, hours we've put together? Can you guess? How many hours total all of our podcasts equal?
Well, 100 episodes, about an hour a piece, but longer. So
that's good. You can do math.
Thank you. Thank you. 120 hours.
Close, 117. So close.
Well, if you're playing Price is Right rules,
you're over. But that's 5 full days of us talking.
When you say it like that, that's pretty painful. Wow.
But we've been downloaded, hundreds of thousands of times around the world. I know you wanted to kind of list off the countries. Like, that's always exciting to see.
Well, yes, of course. United States is about 3/4 of our downloads. Our neighbors to the north, Canada, good 5 to 6%. Australia, around 5 to 6% as well. United Kingdom up there, 5%. And then Germany, New Zealand, Sweden, Japan, Mexico. That's really impressed to see Mexico. That's pretty awesome. And then, of course, there's just a slew of countries out there. Everything where from the Czech Republic to Indonesia to Belarus to Saudi Arabia to Hong Kong to China. And they're multiple downloads. Yeah. So, it's not just like a oops.
What's this?
We definitely have some, we definitely have some oops from, I forget what countries they are now, but where it was like one download. It's like, okay,
that's Algeria.
That's
I'm looking at the map this week. We had a download from Algeria. Yeah. No, hey, shout out to Algeria. If you're listening, shout out to you.
Yeah, or keep listening. Yeah. But no, that's the thing is we obviously have some fans in Kenya. We obviously have some fans in Italy and Denmark and Israel. So that to me has been really exciting,
Sweden,
and
heavy,
motivating.
We have a really
I
good following in
suppose.
Sweden too, by the way. Sweden's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's amazing to see the reach.
But what we need is, if you're listening, fans from far away, if you're listening to this, introduce yourself. Let us know about the species that we're forgetting, because I don't think we've covered a species from Belarus yet.
No.
Right?
No.
So let us know, and we can try to diversify our platform a little bit more, and you can help teach us.
Yeah. And I mean, follow us on Instagram,
message,
follow us on Facebook, reach out to us. We try to get back to you as fast as we can. Please, we love interacting with you. That is why we do this. So Angie, switching gears really quick, kind of talking about the species we've covered. Are you ready for the list? Let's go like maybe 10 to 12 at a time.
Well, it was funny. I was reading Ranger Rick, which is a kid's animal magazine, and tonight with my boys. And as I'm going through it, I'm like, oh, done that. And then then there was ones that we haven't done that were in the magazine. And so I'm like, ooh, okay, that one looks good.
Yeah, we've got a good list. We've got a good list for the coming year, for sure. So I started off talking to a microphone by myself, just talking about the 6th mass extinction. It's horrific to listen to, but it was how I felt. So I left it up there. So then we opened up with elephants. Little, very rough, but we did all right.
Yeah.
Then we go to rhinos. Then you thought poison dart frogs, we really kind of started finding our groove.
That's one of my favorite episodes to listen to, because for me personally, it was out of my comfort zone because it was amphibian, and I did a lot of homework, so I could not sound too stupid when I talked about them. And so I was very prepared, which is always a great place to be, right, when you're an educator. But no, that's when I started to realize what my role could really be in this podcast with behaviors, and taking my sense of humor and also my passion for physiology and behavior. And so, Chris, talking about poison dart frog behavior, especially the male behavior and what they do for their offspring, we had a lot of fun going back and forth. And just a quick reminder is that the females lay their eggs on the ground. They're hidden beneath leaf litter. And once they hatch as tadpoles, they stick themselves to the mucus on the back of their parents, primarily the dad. And the dad will backpack the young up into the canopy.
That's right.
And put them
Why did I forget about Dad of the Year? That's Dad of the Year right there. I don't know. Cassowary still gets me, but see another super dad. Poison dart frogs.
And once and I think you coined it. You said they baby wear them, and which is hilarious, because I used to baby wear my boys when I could still, when they were small, and they they baby wear them up into these tide pools inside like flowers and plants, and then the male will basically takes exceptional care of the clutch, and does all these transportation duties for them until they can grow big and strong. And so that was when I really first realized how much fun I could have with this podcast. Yeah. As far as associating, because I think as humans, we can be so far removed from nature, especially animals that we're not that closely related to, frogs, birds, things like that. And so to see that they do really relatable behaviors to us, I think helps people want to save them. And I just really remember enjoying that. And that's when I felt like I hit my stride. Around.
Our audio still was terrible, but it was a good episode.
we're still in our mom's basement, but you know what I mean.
So then we did leopard, Przewalski horse. The one that I think we learned a lot from too was the vaquita porpoise and river dolphin. We realized doing 2 species for one episode was a bad idea, because the vaquita actually deserves its own. And the river dolphins are amazing. So that was fun. Reindeer, polar bear, learned a ton.
Reindeer is when I got to dork out about antler physiology.
Yes. And then
we will be covering a new deer species soon, because I want to do more of that.
And then I think we finally hit it. Episode 10, hijinks with the honey badger. It was just my favorite, even though the audio sucks. It's still my favorite episode.
It's so good. It's so funny.
I love them. Oh,
too many jokes. Too many. Well, they're such a charismatic, dynamic animal. Like,
they're just.
How can you? They're just so tough. They're just They run Africa.
Don't care.
I mean,
they don't care.
They do not. Yeah, what is it? Yeah, Honey Badger don't care.
He doesn't care. I love him.
So much fun to learn about, though.
Oh, he was great. And then we did Catbaugh Langer. California Condor was really good. That was a good one.
Well, and that's starting to learn about too the roles of accredited zoos and aquarium and bringing species back from
extinction or
basic,
pretty much extinction.
Basic extinction, functional extinction. Is that what it's called? Functional extinction?
Yeah, they were extinct in the wild. Yeah, they were out. So then we did Burmese python, which was interesting. Then vampire squid. Then a fun episode was a black-footed ferret. I mean, mustelids. Mustelids, I think every time we do a mustelid, we just have a good time. We just have an amazing time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, flying foxes. Then we did platypus, which has some good moments.
Cool physiology.
Wait for them. There's some good moments at the end of this that we had some really, oh my God, that was great. That was great. Okapi, orangutan, pangolin, I think was an eye-opener for me. And you were really adamant on doing that one. And I was like, really? Okay, we'll do pangolin. And then the more I read, I was like, oh my God.
Well, and still just horrific news coming out of overseas about all of these scales,
Vietnam.
tons and tons of scales being seized. And then also too, talking with conservation hero Bill Ziegler about the work at Brookfield Zoo to save these guys. Just super impressive.
Oh yeah, they're just terrific what's out there. So then whale sharks was fun, harpy eagle. Then the blue whale was one of my favorites. Then Autumn Lindy, who we interviewed, really said you need to do red wolves. I think that was a big eye opener for me here in the United States, how they're being persecuted in the Carolinas and their sad story. Then we had Corbin come on, which, we're a big fan of Corbin's.
Made a new friend. Yes.
I know. It's amazing. I can't wait till we all get together. Cool. Yeah. Snapping turtle, naked mole rat, which was pretty fun.
That physiology, that in preparing for this 100th episode, which I did not spend 6 hours on, for the record.
6 minutes, right?
So their physiology, I think, I was trying to think about what I learned the most. And usually whenever we cover an amphibian or reptile, or my goodness gracious, an invertebrate, wow, right? Octopus and vampire squid. Learning a lot about the physiology, but the naked mole rat has to be hands down one of the most bizarre cool animals we've talked about regarding their physiology.
Yeah. I mean, octopus we just released. I mean, that one's still
right up there too.
Yeah, they're amazing.
But
so
they're invertebrates, so that was like a little bit more.
Different for us.
So check out those episodes if you haven't already. I highly recommend it. Just turn us off right now and
listen. Just put it on your to-do list. So then we did hyena.
You can totally be vacuuming or doing dishes while you're listening to this episode. There's not too much meat and bones here.
No, but stuff's fun. Hyena, Bactrian camel, manatee. We went back and did a river.
Bactrian camel. Did you just say Bactrian? Bactrian.
I said camel. Manatee, river otters, Cape buffalo was fun. That was a fun episode.
Yeah.
Rattlesnakes. We got that in the edited portion. Pretty good stuff there. Manta rays, kiwis, hippos was amazing. And we had John on, and that's in our clips you're going to listen to because there's just a too much. Awesome. Then we did key mice, and that's an episode that gets lost because who cares about mice? And I think we do a good job of talking about why they matter, why these wild mice matter. It was a really good episode. One of my favorites too, sea dragons, was amazing. Just
dad of the
about
year,
them. Very much one of the dad of the years. The Saola lion was a lot of fun. Saola, Saola salad.
Tomato.
Lion was fun. Chameleon was a really fun episode.
It was.
I mean, geez, all these species. Giraffe, walrus was incredible.
Fantastic.
Burrowing owl was incredible.
We gotta do another owl. Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
And I still remember Jesse Golden talking about how he was staring at that hole for an hour and gave up, and then stood up and looked in the tree, and they were all there looking at him. He was looking at the burrow. Oh, Jesse. Tassie, not tigers, devils.
Yes.
Vampire bats. Somali wild ass. Panda, John's favorite. Narwhal, Angie. Narwhal. Probably still one of our top episodes.
Most downloaded episodes, yes, because some people didn't even know that they existed. They are real and they are amazing.
They're very much so. Sea turtles, hummingbirds, immortal jellyfish.
Every animal, I'm like, oh no, their physiology is the best. Oh no, their physiology is the best. Oh wait, they're the best. Oh wait, they do that cool thing.
Yep. Saltwater crocodile, the pika.
That's those 2 episodes are some of our top download ones as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gorillas was amazing. Axolotl, anteater, cassowary. That was a fun one. Dads. Those are like, I still can't believe the mom just lays the egg and walks off. Oh my
She's
goodness.
like, peace, I'm out.
Oh my God. She just like, screw you, I'm out, man. And he's like, what? Where are you going? Wait, Junior. And next thing he knows, he's got the Saiga. You got to listen to Saiga, people. Like that, their story, their uniqueness, just, Elephant Seal was a blast. Tigers was just, we did 2 episodes of Tiger because they were just.
Yeah, we had like a whole tiger month, which was awesome with Sunarto from Indonesia, and then Katie Cannon from North Carolina.
Carolina Tiger Rescue, yeah. So she did an amazing job with that and describing about what a real sanctuary should be. So that was amazing. Then
because we keep seeing this term sanctuary thrown around in the news, like, oh, they're going to go to a sanctuary, and that might be a really good thing, or it might not be. And there's that term's not really defined, and so it's up to people to figure out if it's a good place or a bad place.
And I just think our last few episodes, I mean, we do penguins, emperor penguins, grizzly bears.
That's another good dad.
Bison. Then we learn about America. I mean, I think our last month has just been, I've been blown away. The African painted or wild dog, koalas, orca, the 2-part orca, because orcas are just holy smokes. And now we end with octopus. Like, rounding out the top 100.
It just keeps getting better.
Yes. So it's just been how we've grown, how Angie and I have grown, how you have grown as our listeners and our communities. Just thank you. You know, we're gonna sit here and play these clips, some of our more funnier moments that Angie and I had, and then we'll sign off.
What are you talking about right now? What are we talking about? That clip?
It's in there. Trust me, it's in there. That and Tassie Tigers. But it's just, we've come a long way, and we still have a lot of growth to do. Angie and I know that. We're going to keep pushing. Angie's got a whole list of animals that maybe at the end she can kind of list off what we may be having coming in the next year. We've got some great interviews lined up, more to come. Just thank you for being with us. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for sharing this. And I'm going to play these clips for you. Have a good laugh. And then at the end, we're going to sign off on episode 100. So enjoy.
Okay, we don't want to, poisoning in them has been a very common way to deal with them, but they're trying to think outside the box of how we can work and live alongside them.
Right, and not just kill them. Right?
Not just kill them.
And that's kind of part of that documentary that made me think, and Angie alluded to it earlier, was a pig farmer, who called out, he trapped one. Instead of just killing it, he trapped it and called out the rescue guy to come out and get it. And he said, you better watch out because those things will go straight for your bleep and nuts.
Yes.
So this
cojones, testicles, whatever you want to call them.
If you are a male and you see a honey badger, run. I mean, even female, I would run too, but run, and don't run till you die, because if they get a hold of you,
don't drop, don't fall down.
Yeah, they go for the nuts and they tear them out. And again, getting a little bit before the nutrition, there have been documentation of Cape buffalo ripping the testicles off of Cape buffalo. Which is
one of the big 5 in Africa. Huge. And so Cape buffalo, for those of you that don't know, hopefully we'll get to cover it because it's a really cool big 5. animal in Africa is they have horns, and each horn weighs about 25 pounds.
25 pounds, so their rack's about 50 pounds.
About 50-pound rack, and like you said,
the bulls are like 2,000 or 3,000 pounds,
probably
4,000 pounds, and then
they're a force to be reckoned with themselves. And so you're telling me that a honey badger
25, 35-pound honey badger running up, ripping off the nuts
of
the testicles of a big bull.
It's so ridiculous.
It's just, and then waiting for that guy to die and bleed out, like horrible, painful death, and then go eat it or try to eat it.
I shouldn't be laughing, but it's just, it's
ridiculous. So if you're a male, just run.
Since they're predation, usually they're hunting at nighttime in these underground burrows. They use more like olfactory cues, and they're sniffing around, snuffing for a prairie dog. And what's been documented that they do, if you can imagine this, that they're searching for through the burrows and they find sleeping prairie dogs. And then they position themselves on top of the dormant sleeping prairie dog, and they'll do a little light tap to wake the prairie dog up, and then a sudden grab for the throat.
Oh my God! That is the stuff made of nightmares.
I know, right? Don't let your kids listen to this. No, yeah. And then they, of course, they go for the throat and asphyxiate and whatnot. But the really crazy thing is that the innate behavior is that they definitely know where and how to bite in the correct location if they're in a captive setting and then released. But what they don't know.
Let me just back up. Well, you say back up the bus. I'm like still on this.
Yeah, that's it.
Waking up, tap, tap, tap. You open your eyes, and dead. That's like,
I know, those poor prairie dogs.
The worst nightmare. Like, yeah, I think, anybody that never mind. I don't wish that on anybody except the evilest of the evil people come back as prairie dogs.
I know.
Because my God, those poor things.
It is kind of, it's very sneaky, and I'm sure the tap is just to help get them in the right position and to minimize, because it's
do you mind scooting over so I can bite your neck or bite your throat? Jesus.
Yeah. So those poor prairie dogs, but
what do you know about platypuses?
I don't know, Xander. I'm going to listen to this podcast. And what do you know about platypuses?
That they are carnivores.
Carnivores? What do they eat?
Meat. They eat fish.
What? There you go. And what else do they eat?
Plants.
Yeah? And what do they look like?
They look like webby feet, and they have a bill, and they swim with their eyes closed.
How did you know that? How do you know this stuff?
Because they use their bills to find their way around the mucky water.
I think you know more about platypuses than I do. Xander. Oh, man. I'm so excited to be talking today with Xander. He's going to be my co-host. Angie decided that Xander knows more about platypuses than she will ever know. So me and Xander are going to talk about them today. So Xander, what else do you know about platypuses? So they have that crazy nose, right?
Yeah. And
where do they live?
Well, actually, they live in the Amazon River.
Amazon? Are you sure? Mm-hmm. I think they live closer to where I'm at right now.
Well,
have you ever heard of Australia?
No, they live in the Amazon River.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Australia.
There you go. So, yeah, Australia.
Covered last week, who make the males work time and time and time doing
extra hard, yes.
Extra hard, and they're like very picky and selective.
Yeah.
What animals are these? Sorry. Take that part out. Take it out.
The vaquita porpoise.
Oh, the gorilla. No, just kidding.
Yes.
Oh my god. The platypus is just like, meh. You have a heartbeat. I'll take you. She doesn't care. And maybe that's some of her reptilian or bird genes where birds are actually very selective. But so maybe some of the reptilian genes, I don't know. Who knows? But yes. And so
I think their eyes have like permanent beer goggles or something.
Yeah. And so they just, I think they just assume like if he's, in my area, he's the strongest. And
so
yes, I did. I told you about one of the sins of my Sinatra Husky dog. There's many more. Stick with this podcast, and you will hear lots of funny stories about that dog.
That dog speaking of that, so next was talking about repro. I'm thinking, how big are these guys?
Well,
vampire squid.
I was gonna say, I like that your mind goes instantly to the gutter, Chris.
Hey,
thank you.
It's what we talk about.
And you better believe that my mind's right there with you. I have it documented right here that yes,
I knew it.
Just to sum things up really quick for repro, the blue whale has the largest. And
how big? Oh God. Big? 7 feet? I don't know, 5 feet, 2 feet.
Hey, wow. Dr. Chris, you are on top of your A game today with all of your whale facts. It's about, it averages in length. It's from 8 to 10 feet.
Jesus.
Or 2.4 to 3 meters.
Stay away from that thing.
Chris, what really fascinated me about the male and his private parts is that length, yes, fine, of course, size is impressive, if you will.
They're so big.
It makes sense, right? But the other thing that's really cool about form and function is that because...
So, getting to how many people are bit by snakes in the U.S. So, your chance of dying from a snake bite in the United States, and probably most Western countries, or westernized or developed countries, is 0%. It's almost 0%. And that's because we have excellent care, right? You get bit by a snake, get an ambulance or call the health professionals right away. And
I really want to highlight that. I mean, you just said 0%.
Yes.
Like, think about that for a second before you kill a cute little venomous coral snake.
Yeah. So 1 in 50 million people in the U.S. will die each year to a snake bite. 5 to 6 people per year die. Now, most snake bites are because people are messing with them, handling them wrong. They're messing around with the snakes. I'm sure there's the really rare occurrence. Somebody's out in the middle of nowhere, gets bit and can't find help. That's ultra rare. Now, in the United States, 1 in 37,000 people have a chance of being bit by venomous snakes. There's about 7,000 to 8,000 snake bites per year. Okay. So it doesn't mean it's like ultra rare to get bit, but most of those are people messing with snakes. That's not all venomous snakes. That's just reported snake bites. So if I messed with that rat snake in my backyard, it probably would have bit me. And then I could go, I got bit by a snake, and I'd be added to that statistic. Okay.
Gotcha. So the statistic doesn't isolate venomous bites.
Now, but again, 5 to 6 people. That's it. So I looked into this. I was like, okay, well, what are some of the other things? In the United States, sharks, 1 person dies per year being attacked by a shark. Alligator, 1 per year. Bears, I have a healthy respect for bears. 1 per year. Now it gets fun. Spiders. How many people die from spider bites? 7 people per year. It's probably, some of this is allergic, but now here you go, Angie. Cows. We just talked about cows with Cape Buffalo, your cute little fuzzy things. How many people die per year because of cows?
Definitely more than shark. I know more than shark bites.
20.
For sure.
20 people a year in the United States are killed by cows. Dogs. 28 people per year.
Yeah.
Bees, wasps, hornets. 58 people per year.
Wow. Okay. That's probably more obviously allergies, right?
Yeah. But so when we talk about snakes and how scared we are of them and all this other stuff, 5 to 6 versus bees and wasps and stuff with 58. Ashley would love that. Now, some other things. Last year, over 37,000 people in the United States died in car crashes.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Heart disease, the number 1 killer in the United States, killed over 600,000 people. Okay. So why are we killing snakes? Why are we demonizing snakes? We should be demonizing, like you said, a hamburger, cheeseburger.
Hey,
that kills more people.
After you give birth, you are allowed to have a cheeseburger. All right. But no, No, you should not eat a cheeseburger every day.
100,000 times more likely to die by eating cheeseburgers than you are from a snake. So they deserve our respect. They deserve our love and our conservation efforts. So yeah, no, they're great animals. They're charismatic, and it's one that, you always love to see it at zoos or in the wild. Angie was talking earlier about how you guys are in Zambia. Now, Angie did say we were going to have another hippo off.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if we want to bring her back.
Yeah, we can do it. I mean, I just I love her so much, and I hate when she loses things.
Don't want to,
but
you don't want to.
But it is what it is. I mean, this is something that there will be no loss here. I'm not sure she understands. I studied hippopotamus vocalizations. I mean, this is what I did for my life for years.
Yes.
So, but whatever. I love her because
she's a little cocky.
Yes, her heart is much larger than her brain sometimes. But that's one of the things that I
that's
I
a
just
good
love
one.
so much about her. So yeah, I'll bring her back in for this challenge. Hold on one second.
All right. Well, thank you. Hey, John. It's awesome to hear from your experience. I know we've been talking about this one for a while, and we definitely will have you on again, I hope. And we've had Xander on a couple times.
He's
we'll bring
I know he's
Xander's
done better
daddy.
than me. So yeah, hopefully I just lived up to what he did. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. Like I said, being on this side of it as opposed to listening to you guys. But it's a lot of fun. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, no. Okay, well, go get Angie, and then let's have the hippo off, and I'll be the judge on who's better. Okay. So here we go. We're gonna see who can do the best hippo impersonation. All right, go. All right, that was the first one.
Oh gosh, you're gonna have to turn that one down.
Hey, hippos are allowed.
Okay.
Hippos are allowed.
All right, and here's attempt number 2. You've gotten better, Angie. You've gotten better. You're still too deep, I think, bass. So if yours is underwater, you win.
This, hold on. What about this one? No, I don't know. I always feel like
your initial. I think your initial John's is really high pitched, but your I can't even do it. Is very deep bass.
There it is. Come over here, John.
Oh yeah, John wins. He wins. He wins. Hands down. Yeah. Sorry. He wins. He wins the hippo
enough.
call. I'm sorry.
It is really good.
I'm sorry.
I just fell more in love with him than I ever thought possible.
You beat me. How about that?
Yeah,
so there's a victory really there.
Good. And it's good in life to have things. He's doing it. He's doing the Running Man right now. I think that's a dance from the 80s for all the kids, or 90s for all the kids out there that don't know what the Running Man is. He'll do the sprinkler too, and he's really feeling frisky. There it is.
So we're gonna have a roar off, right, between you and Angie, like the hippo off, which you won hands down.
I did.
Yeah,
I mean,
so I don't.
I love Angie so much. She does so many incredible things for my life, and and when you have somebody that you love, you want to protect them, and I do want to protect her, but at the same time, she just keeps putting herself in this situation where I just can't protect her. She's asking for these things. She's asking to compete against me. When I've worked with these animals, I've spent my life working with these animals. So I've honed my craft in many different ways, and vocalizations is one I studied as a person who studied vocalization. So I don't understand why she does this, but she does this, and that's the way it goes.
Okay, well, let's hear it. I will not even know who it is. I just want you guys to. Where's Angie?
Okay,
get her over there.
So we'll go off. We'll still
camera.
We'll still have the mic, and we'll go from there. Okay.
And I'll see who's first, and
All
1
right,
and 2.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, hold on a second.
Okay. Oh my God. This is too funny. This is too funny.
Where are we going? Well,
I'm sorry, John, you lost.
oh, what?
I think you lost after all that buildup.
Yeah, well, we have to. I'll have to splice in the real one next.
Yeah, he went oof, and you were more. I don't know. I can't do it.
Yeah, you were a little bit more.
You
were a little more woofy than normal.
Yeah, I think there was more oofies than normal.
Sorry.
Just a couple.
Hey, the hippo John, hands down. John, hands down hippo. Hippo, you whooped her. It was close. It was close. I'll give you that. It was close, but I think Angie edged you out just a tad.
Yeah,
sorry.
A lot more than her. Well, no, hippo would be better, but that's a little tough.
All right.
I
Well, thank you.
Talk just a little bit about the vocalizations, though, not to defend myself. But
Okay.
When you hear lions like growling or whatever, this is their pride call. This is, and that is more the male is more of the one who does do the call,
right,
which kind of gathers the pride around or gets responses.
You know, I'm gonna try to go. I can't get points in the volume, or the depth of it. The roar, like he probably does sound more like a lion with the deepness. I can't. So I went more for style.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and you just sounded like I've heard the lions in the morning at the zoo. So that's kind of what I've imagined.
Well, here,
let
me play a little bit for the listeners so they can make their own choice.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go with door number 3. As being the best.
we both suck.
It's so hard to get that pitch, though. It's so guttural. It's so deep.
They'll do some of these bluffing behaviors like that. But then, of course, they do have some fighting stuff. And when they are fighting, they will growl, they'll screech. There just seems to be a lot of noises. And so here, if you stay tuned, I will play for you one of the reasons that they probably got their name for themselves.
So yeah. Now you know why they're called Tasmanian devils. Because yes. Oh my goodness, that was crazy.
Yeah, happy Halloween. Like if I heard that at my next door neighbor's house or something, I would call 911. I mean,
yeah, that's why they got their name. You hear that in the forest, you're like, oh my God, what is out there? That would freak me out. That was great.
I mean, that's some of that's just their feeding behavior, the way they communicate with each other. Some of it's for dominance purposes, right?
Now, Angie, I have to say the moa, I don't know if you remember the moa. Think back to Kiwi. The moa, very large ostrich-like bird in New Zealand. Okay, got wiped out by humans.
That's right.
Got hunted to extinction. Okay. We said it was the biggest bird ever. I'm going to tell you, the moa is going down. It is going down as the champ of the biggest bird ever. In September. So we recorded Kiwi, a year ago.
Were we
so
wrong?
In September,
we've never been wrong before.
No. Oh, we've never been wrong. Never. So we said the moa was the largest bird, and it was at the time. But science, and what'd you say? Research?
Yeah, it's not called search. I wish it was called search. You could just do it one time and you're done with it. It's called research. You have to keep redoing it, right?
Yes. So recent research last September determined that the elephant bird from Madagascar was actually bigger. So it was actually the largest bird ever. It could be almost 1,600 pounds or 730 kilograms. Yes, it's enormous.
I love this podcast. Seriously.
I know.
This is amazing. You are amazing, Chris.
It's a cow.
You and your facts. That's
it's the size
humongous.
of a cow. That's a big horse. That's a draft horse.
I was that's like a draft horse. Yeah.
Mini draft horse, smaller draft horse, but stood almost 10 feet tall. Stood almost 10 feet a story tall. Like, geez. And it only got wiped out like 800 years ago. That thing was still running around 800 years ago. They finally wiped them all out.
Yeah, they were like, that's some good eating.
Yes. Feed you for a year. Jesus, 1,600-pound bird. Oh my God.
What a shame, though. God, that would be.
Man.
Yeah, see, that's what humans can do. But now we know better. And now we have domesticated animals that can help, and domestication of a lot of plants and other proteins, preferably plant protein. There's my pitch for the environment. But so we have other proteins, so we don't need to wipe out the cassowary or any other large birds for that.
Welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. This is Chris.
And I'm Angie.
And I'm Corbin.
Hey, there he goes. Hey, welcome, Corbin.
That was a little delay. How's it going, guys?
It's good. And we are so excited. This has actually been in the works for a few months. Corbin's been really busy, so we have scheduled this kind of roundtable again. I think we need to do this every year. And can you believe it's almost like, Corbin, your podcast came out about when ours did. And can you believe it's been a year and a half almost? Isn't it insane?
I can't even believe it. I can't. And you guys are well into your episode 70s. I feel like a slacker over here. Like I get notifications. You guys are busting them out like crazy. I'm like, keeping them up on a weekly basis. So congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks. Well, there's two of us too, so it helps.
Yes.
Angie cracks a whip on me, and I got to get out there and hustle, and then I crack the whip on her. So, but yeah, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining us.
He's actually a softie. I always text him, I cannot meet tonight, or I can't talk tonight. And he's always like, okay. So, but because I worked at an accredited zoo, which is the highest standard of care, I am a little bit biased in the fact, or I'm a lot biased in the fact that a lot of what the naysayers are saying against zoos, or the dung that they're flinging, if you'll pardon the pun, I love puns, is in order to be open-minded, I want to try to understand it and see if there's some validity to it or why they might think this, and then also show data or facts about why that reason, or the reason they might like, to try to get people to open their minds that, of course, I guess are naysayers. It was my driving force behind doing this podcast today.
Yeah, and that's great. And really quick, I guess I should add that with my job working on shows like the Today Show and other late night programs, I work firsthand with AZA accredited zoos, and I have a lot of experience, with their protocols, the permitting, just everything. And I also was a spokesperson for the AZA at one point in my career. So I'm excited to kind of use that experience as well to add to the conversation.
Yeah. And in case we didn't mention it, AZA stands for the American, why do I always screw this up?
I guess we should say what the hell the AZA is.
Clearly, I don't know after 20 years. I just always say AZA. It's like that for me is a word. That's a noun. It means it carries a lot of weight.
The Association for Zoos and Aquariums.
Thank you, Chris. This is why you're my partner in crime.
You have mom brain. We know what that is.
On fire. It's like 9 o'clock at night here.
But yeah. Elephant bird that just took over the MOA last September. But research. So anyways, I love this history stuff. It is crazy. You're reading the history of zoos. It dates back 2,500 years. Animals were kept, under human care. It's horrific to think about, but you think of Rome, the Colosseum, how they were really, that's horrible. And that was 2,000 years ago, right? And, some people think, this idea of conservation is just something recent that zoos have come up with because they've taken some public pressure. And that is absolutely not true. It's absolutely not true. Because this is really eye-opening for me. Zoos, as humanity has developed in the last few hundred years, zoos were originally, or menageries, were for royalty, right? King of England, Queen of England, France, all that. Status of wealth. They had these animals, but they were not shown to the public. In the 18th century, so 1700s is when zoos really started, and they started showing off these collections to the public. So, we're going 250 years roughly. And even then, the public was against mistreatment of animals.
Really?
Abuse of animals. It wasn't like, oh, look how cool this is. Oh yeah, it's so, you read this history, and the public shaped what zoos are today, really, over 200 years. In the 1700s, there was a German philosopher. He wrote about humans having a moral sensibility to care for these animals and not exploit them. So people have cared. This isn't something just in the last 20, 30 years. This is the last few hundred years. We've always loved that. Hold on, where do I want to go with that? Is that my whole
And that's it.
Sorry. Here we go. Okay.
Thanks.
That's a little lame.
My slide got moved down. Hold on. It's a little lame.
Okay.
So,
okay.
So it makes me think of every species we're covering. There's something we're learning about them almost. So it makes me think of the Tasmanian devil. Just because I'm making some good friends down in Tasmania. Googs, shout out to Googs down there in Tasmania. But I was talking to her, and I want to try to get down there, Angie. So if I get down to Tassie, I know we have some Aussie friends who are like, come out and see us in Australia. So you might have to come with me. And I'm laughing with her, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go trek and look for Tassie tigers. Cause she said she's heard them, but she has never seen them. And she was here in the States for a while and moved back down there. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to go trek, and I'm going to go find some Tassie tigers, and I'm going to record the sounds. And then I thought for a minute, wait a minute, this isn't New Zealand. You can go trekking all over New Zealand and you're safe. There's nothing there that would kill you. Nothing, some of the food's okay. It's good food, it's decent. There's everything in Australia will kill you. Like, I don't want to be going trying to Tasmania. I thought about it for a second. I was like,
Yeah, I feel like I would like to go to the Australia Zoo. That's about my
yes,
my comfort level. Maybe the Great Barrier Reef, but yeah. Or with a guide. I would definitely want a couple nice young Aussie gentlemen to make sure that I'm, or ladies.
Lee, I got one for you. Lee down there, Lee works down there in Australia, and he's always posting stuff on Facebook. So shout out to Lee down there, and he'll take you. He'll take you to the Daintree. You can go find the cassowaries and the salty crocs and the platypus and all the things we talked about. The whole point of that story was, Angie.
I'm so lost.
Where are we going?
I'm like, what are you talking about? I have two more really important points about why you should care about elephant seals. So let's wrap it up, buddy.
Let me wrap it up. The whole point of that wasn't to say hi to Googs. It was to say Tassie tigers. Oh, hold on. Yeah, Tassie tigers. Is it Tassie?
Do those even exist?
Oh my God, why am I saying Tassie tigers?
You've been saying Tassie tigers?
Did I say Tassie tigers the whole time?
The whole time. The whole freaking time.
I'm not on drugs, I promise you.
And I'm thinking, aren't those extinct? I'm pretty sure those extinct. I didn't know if it was a joke. I thought it was going to be a joke.
Tassie devils, Angie. The Tasmanian devils is what I was thinking.
Do you want to back this up, or do you want to leave this in here because it's so hilarious?
No. I'm going to leave it. And the Tasmanian devil with the transmutable cancer.
Yes. Oh my God.
Has cancer researchers around the world saddened by their plight, but excited to learn about this cancer. That was the point of that story. To talk about Tassie tigers that went extinct a long time ago. Why care about elephant seals?
I should have rescued you sooner. I was just going with it. We don't have a script here, folks. I was just what they call ebbing and flowing, or there's some term And so in general, killer whales have limited dispersal from their maternal pod, and young whales are always going to be in their mother's pod. And so if you're in a pod, you're usually close to them, within 100 meters of each other, to coordinate all these activities like hunting and protection, things like that. And they share prey, and they usually don't stray from the pod for more than a few hours. And of course, family members, pods will teach through what they call apprenticeships. So as Chris highlighted earlier, it's not just like, oh, okay, here's one time watching me. It's actually an apprenticeship of learning, like hands-on learning.
Yeah, just hold on. Like, seriously, this is a whale. This is a dolphin, technically speaking. Apprenticeships. Let that sink in for a minute. Let's just don't brush that over. Like, apprenticeships. That shows you how, quote unquote, cultured they are, how intelligent they are, how their social behaviors are. Like, this stuff that we've discovered in the last 20, 30 years in all these animals has to change humanity's view on how we look at all these different species. It has to. Talk about, Julie going back telling me, be optimistic. This is the stuff that makes me optimistic. When we get this data out and we talk about these things, people have to know this. They have to know this so they care. Going back to what you said in the very beginning, of episode 1, you were talking about, this is why I care. If you don't listen to this and care, which I know people do that are fans that are listening, but still, this is the stuff that we have to get out to the public in the general eye. So when you have, biting my tongue, our politicians who go, oh, it's a stupid whale, who cares? Let's go drill or start doing sonic booms in the Puget Sound area, or anyways, I'll save it for another day. This is why we all need to work together, because Angie, that fact alone stuns me when you really think about it.
Well, stick with me, brother. I've got a few more.
I'm going to be marching to DC tomorrow.
Yeah,
from
I know.
California.
I'm not done yet. But so speaking about, and we touched on it, I think in episode.
All right, Angie, I'm telling you, when I was clipping all those, I think still my favorite out of all of those has to be when John was talking so much trash about how he was going to whip you in the roar off, and you came blasting in and you beat him hands down. Hands down. He was so
I know. He is probably still slightly devastated from that, because he's the lion roar in our house. The boys have been hearing him roar for years, and he's really good at it. I just think he choked a little bit, which is weird because I'm the choker. So yeah, I think something. He was
still going
getting sick that day. I don't know.
From the hippo off, where he was so confident, he's like, I love Angie, but I'm sorry, she's just going to get demolished. And then he came in and beat you. He beat you fair and square. Yeah. Then the very next episode was him talking about, oh, she has no chance. And then you whoop him.
I know.
No sprinkler dance that time, huh, John?
See that? Yeah, the podcast is fun for everybody. That's for sure. Not only myself, but obviously for John and the boys. And yeah, it's just this next year, I look forward to growing more. And I want to stay in our comfort zone in some aspects, perhaps talk about the takin, zebra, other animals I worked with, like golden lion tamarin, Arabian oryx sable. I'd love to talk about more bird species. We haven't done the psittacine or a parrot yet. I think it'd be fun to do a fishing cat. I'm really into carnivores now, especially after this past couple months of talking about hunting behavior. And with a lot of my hoof stock, I haven't really dove too much into that. So, and then I want to get out of our comfort zone and cover more reptiles and amphibians, invertebrates.
Yes.
And I'd really like to do a segment on coral, especially being down here in Florida. And since we've been talking so much about the ocean and the inhabitants that live in the coral reefs, I think that they need some attention as well, and hopefully get hooked up with an expert. So yeah, looking forward to maybe talking to a wild dog expert as well to answer all my dying questions about carnivore behavior. So, and then recommendations and these connections, that's what we need. And that's what I look forward to doing in the next year.
I know of 2 species we have to cover soon, because both our sons have requested a gecko and a squirrel.
Yes.
And we still owe a salmon to John. Can we just ship a salmon to John? Just say, here's your salmon.
No, we're getting better with our ocean creatures. So I would
Yeah.
do a salmon. I'd like to learn more about their
Well, their natural history, their current status, because salmon is so popular.
right.
You know, so
Well,
maybe
yeah.
it will be a good episode to talk about, because wild caught versus farm raised. You know, salmon is a huge fish in New Zealand. When I was there, that was the primary fish we ate. You know, so it's a staple in our diet. So maybe it behooves everybody to learn a little bit about what we eat.
Sure.
sometimes.
Well, and the physiology too. I mean, we've done sharks, so we can, you know, we can do
Only
it.
Patreon has done sharks. So there you go. There's a good plug for Patreon.
I forget that.
Great white shark on Patreon with cheetahs. You know, 2 species we've also done, and we've got a third coming for them soon. But yeah, there's millions of species on the planet, tens of thousands of vertebrates that we can cover. So we're going to be in business for a long time, and we're going to keep doing this.
Job security. I love it.
Yeah. Yep. So implement those conservation tips, support those organizations. They're listed on our website. I have to fix our website and actually have conservation tips put in there now. Follow us on Instagram. We're posting every day.
Yes, and please review
on
us
Facebook.
too as well, so we can. It'll help bump us up in the rankings, which would be great.
Yeah. And it's going to be fun doing episode 200. Like we're going to be, it's going to
I
be
know.
fun
Should we
to see
make
where we're at.
predictions? Do you think we'll have our first fight by then?
No,
Because we're still not going to be
I've known
making
you
any
for 10
money.
years. I've known you. No, I don't care how much money we make. It's 50-50. Always has been.
Yeah.
It's
so funny.
I've known you for 10 years. You've been my grad student and my friend, and I have never been angry with you ever.
Yeah.
Not one time have I,
pretty
because I'm not
easygoing.
I'm not an angry guy, but
Yeah, I was gonna say we're
me
both
too.
too easy
Like,
to go. We're both too nice.
Yeah.
That's the problem. If
never
anything,
be
I'd be like,
mad at
"Oh,
Angie."
bless his heart. Bless his heart."
Yeah.
Okay. So, any other predictions?
Predictions. When will we hit episode 200?
When
We're
will
doing
Leonardo call me?
4, 5, 6. We're talking another over a year and a half, less than a year and a half. I predict. Here you go. I will predict we will have a major conservation expert with a big name by episode 200.
Okay.
Or celebrity. Okay.
Okay.
Because there's a couple I've had in mind that I'm thinking about reaching out to.
Okay.
One's a friend, but another is pretty big. So by episode 200 we will have a major celebrity, you know, other than Corbin Maxey. We know you're still listening, Corbin, but we will have somebody big.
Awesome. Or let us know if you guys are 6 degrees away from Leonardo DiCaprio and can get him on here as well.
Or if you are listening, Leo, please email us and you know.
Yes, allcreaturespod.com.
Yeah, yes, Angie
or
will
Oprah.
fly anywhere in the
I
world.
would love Oprah. Or Ellen.
Oprah.
Ellen DeGeneres would be a good fun one.
Yeah. Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on some things, Angie. So by 200 we'll have a big celebrity, I think, and we'll be definitely in the top 100 of science, no problem.
Yes, definitely.
I will make that prediction now too. And the Earth's going to be in a better place in 100 episodes.
Absolutely. The Earth is definitely going to be in a better place because people are starting to be more conscious about their own decisions. And I read this great quote the other day that I want to end with by Anne-Marie Bonnet. She's at Zero Waste Chef. We don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions of people doing it imperfectly. So check us out, Plastic Free July. There'll be stuff on our Facebook and Instagram and webpage about it. Join us in the movement, All Creatures Pod.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, Angie. Thank you for putting up with me. And I'm just saying thank you in advance for putting up with me for the next 100 episodes.
Absolutely. My pleasure, my friend. And thank you to all of our listeners. Thank you for putting up with us, our puns, our jokes, my kids, my dog, and her clicky nails on the wood floor. It's been wonderful. And reach out to us. The feedback has been very encouraging. So thank you so much.